Now in its 10th year, this is GabNet. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey everybody, live from Harlem in New York City, it's Alex Bennett and the Ramble, and we're here until midnight tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, his name is Larry Bubbles Brown. He's a very funny comic and a guy who has a wonderful memory for dates and things like that. Right, Larry?
Yes, things that are not important to most people.
Okay, let me ask you this, because I found a show that I did. I never could find, I did the Alex Bennett Comedy Hours. Do you remember those?
On PBS?
No, that was Comedy Tonight. This was on Channel 44.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I did two of them. And I never could find the second show. And today I just found it. Okay? And so I downloaded all the various portions of it. I'm going to reassemble it as a full show. But Marjorie said to me, "When was that?" And I couldn't remember when that was. So do you have any idea when that was?
I don't have a distinct date. No, I'm going to try to guess. Do you know the year?
No, that's the problem. Did I do it on my second pass back at Live 105, or did I do it during my first pass?
Second pass is I'm going to say it was around 96.
96? Okay. All right. Okay. I probably, if I look up, I can look up maybe, I think I maybe have a copy of the ad from TV Guide, and it might have a date on top of it or something. I don't know.
It would, yeah.
But I have no idea when it was. I have no idea.
Was it the old Channel 44 building?
Yeah. Well, that's where we edited it and put it together and so on and so forth. But it was done at the Great American Music Hall.
Okay.
Yeah. You weren't on any of those shows, were you?
No.
Why, I wonder? I should have put you on there. You were one of my... Huh?
Really? Well, let's see. I do remember. How many? Do you remember who was on them?
Well, on this show that I'm currently doing, Eddie Strange.
Oh, Ross Bennett, yes.
That was his name, right?
That's his real name, yeah.
Yeah. Eddie Strange, who wasn't a bad comic, Susan Healy, Bobby Slayton, Dana Gould. I'm trying to remember who else. I think, Bob Rubin. Bob Rubin was on that. So
okay.
Yeah. So
I'd love to see those.
Yeah. Well, those are well. If you had a internet, I could tell you where you could watch them. But unfortunately, So how are you doing, by the way?
Good. You said something the last time we talked that I thought was very good. That we talked about getting old and being in entertainment.
Wait a minute. We just lost him. Folks. I got to go find him. I got to go again. Here we go. And see, this happens. Okay. Come on. There he is. Are you there?
Okay, I'm back.
Yeah, what happened? Anything on your end?
I don't know. It just went dead for a second.
It just went dead. Well, welcome to the wonderful world of Skype.
Skype. It's always Skype, yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing this on Skype. I never have this problem on any other system, so, I don't understand. Anyway, where were we?
We were talking about everybody in show business has their time.
Yeah. Kind of. There's some people who have too much time and others who have too little.
Too little. I'm trying to think people that have had although he's still good, is Clint Eastwood, who's I think now 94.
Yeah. Well, he's still able to do it, and bring it, but I don't know that he's that creative anymore. It's kind of like at that point in your life, and I find it's true for me, you run on fumes.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. What do you think? Fumes?
Well, I read that a bunch of people got upset, a bunch of comics, when I read that your creative ability almost goes to zero after you hit 60. So maybe.
Well, you quit inventing.
I think it's right.
I went further than that. I mean, you quit inventing at about that time. In other words, as I said, you're running on fumes. In other words, you're running on your past, right?
And that's why you see all these old rock bands. They can do their old songs, but they're not coming up with new ones.
They haven't put out an album in 15 years. The Stones didn't do a new album for 15 years.
Wow.
Okay. You find that hard to believe, but they had nothing to contribute,
Right.
And then when they did, it was so-so, I kept coming up with ideas, I think, until I was about 78, 79. And now I don't come up with any new ideas anymore. We've
had our time.
Well, I could return to the old ideas, and live off of them for a while.
Yeah.
But I find that kind of difficult for me. I always prided myself on coming up with new ideas, new ways of doing things. And when I went to the internet, I decided, because I could use Zoom and I could use Skype and so on, and I could put on more than one person at a time, I created what I called the citizen panel. So that I had callers. I had like 5, 6, 7, up 10 callers sometimes, all interacting with each other. And that was a new thing. That had never been done. Mm-hmm. I couldn't do that on radio. I tried doing that on radio years ago. Let me explain to you. This is hard to explain. It's going to take a little bit of time. Remember those phones we had that were like business phones, and they had like 4 buttons, and each one was a different line? Okay.
Uh-huh.
Well, most radio stations, that's what we had. So I would do a talk show. I pushed line so-and-so, line 1. Who are you? And then I'd talk to them for a while. Then I'd go to line 2, go to line 3. We discovered something. This was here in New York, I believe, that if you go into the phone, they had beside each of those buttons a little kind of metal thing that prevented you from pressing down 2 at a time. So you press 1, and then this metal thing would go into place, and then you press 2, and the metal thing would go into place, but you couldn't push 2 at a time. But if you remove that metal piece, you could then push 4 buttons down at a time. And therefore, you could have 4 people on at the same time talking to each other.
I didn't know that. That's wild.
And I did that in New York. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But I never could do it. I never was able to do it anywhere else because they didn't like me fooling around with the telephones and so on. Over at ABC, they didn't care. But then I came to the internet and I came up with Skype, for instance, in which I had 5 people calling at once, 10 people calling at once, up to 25 people calling at once if I wanted it. Never got that high, and I could do it that way. So I was back to my old tricks, but now I could do it in a new technologically wonderful way. So.
Well, you were the only one on radio that would you would take a call without having it screened. It was very dangerous.
I didn't believe in screening calls. Later on I did have calls screened, but I didn't believe in screening calls because I felt it took the spontaneity away from the show.
Yeah.
I like the idea that people would call and I wouldn't know who they were. And, they could be trouble, If they started swearing, I would hit the button the delay button. But, that happened very seldom, actually.
Right.
People were pretty okay with it. But no, I just like to hit the phone and go, "Hey, who is this?" And then we'd have fun. So. But have I come up with anything creative since the Citizen Panel? Nothing. Zero. Zilch.
We got nothing.
I got nothing. But I always prided myself on being inventive and doing new stuff and so on and so forth. I just can't come up with it anymore. I'm sorry. And I don't know if I want to. So that's another point.
Right.
So.
Well, that's why you were talking about people that died when they're really young in show business, and they always leave us legacy, but you wonder what they would have become. But
yeah.
I saw a guy, remember I saw Moon as a kid at the end of his career. It looked like he was really interesting. It was Ernie Kovacs.
Ernie Kovacs was, you say towards the end of his career. His career was cut short by an automobile accident.
Right.
Who knows what he would have done, although I think he was also starting to burn out. He was very inventive in the beginning of television, of his career. But then he went into movies and doing stuff like that, and he just wasn't inventive anymore. I mean, everybody goes, "Oh, Ernie Kovacs, what a pioneer." And sure, he was at that time. But then he stopped being a pioneer. Then he went on and made movies. He had a problem. And I don't know if you know this story, but he had a son, and, of course, a mother of that son, who then kidnapped the kid. And I think that's what happened, and took off with the kid. And Ernie Kovacs spent all his time when he wasn't on the air looking for this kid and spending almost every penny he had to hire detectives to try and trace the kid down. So that's what was happening when he wasn't doing a show. So how inventive can you be while you've got something else
that'll
on
inhibit your creativity.
Yeah, it puts a little damper on your creativity. So then he went and did movies and things like that. Anything that would make him money so he could pay for the process of trying to find the kid. And I can't remember whether he ever did or didn't. Okay. But.
Oh, that's a great story. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know all this trivia about?
Well, I don't know a lot of trivia, but I know enough, Do you have any questions for me?
Well, I'd like to find out what happened to Ernie Kovacs' kid.
That I don't know. I don't know if he ever found him. But I'm sure I think he probably did, if I'm not mistaken. But then he died in a car crash, driving home, I think, or going down to the grocery store or something like that.
Christmas party.
Was it a Christmas party? Okay. See?
Might have been at Dean Martin's, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I was in L.A.
Are you looking that up right now, or did?
No, I just looked it up a long time ago.
Oh, really?
I think it was a party. It was 1962.
Oh, so he might have been a little drunk.
Could have been, yeah.
Wow, isn't that a shame? See, that's a shame. When I sometimes I'll be watching a movie or watching an old TV show, because I like YouTube. I go to YouTube and just watch old stuff all the time. And I'll see somebody and I'll go, God, he was great. Why did he have to die? Why didn't he have a longer career? Why didn't people understand what a talent he was or whatever, and I get depressed over things like that.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't remember who I was watching the other day. Yeah, I'll tell you who I was watching just yesterday, doing a tap dance in a movie to the song Lady Be Good, and she's doing the dance with a dog. if you can imagine. And the dog was amazing. The dog was doing twirls and on his hind feet, walking behind her and beside her and all of that. And she's tap dancing. And she happened to be the best tap dancer ever in movies. Do you know who that woman was?
No idea.
Ever heard of Eleanor Powell?
I've heard of her, yes.
She was incredible. In fact, Gene Kelly, Fred Astaire, all the big dancers said that she was the best. She was better than any of them. And in fact, I have a film she did with Fred Astaire, dancing with Fred Astaire, tap dancing with him, and she's not keeping up with him. He's having to keep up with her.
Wow.
That's how good she was. And she was considered the best that ever was. I mean, if you ever get to see a video of Eleanor Powell dancing, your jaw will drop. Okay? She was that good. By the way, she was white. That's the other factor. And she could out tap dance anybody. I mean, Bill Bojangles Robinson, I think she was better than he was. All right?
Holy crap.
So, better than Fred Astaire. I mean, we're talking about at tap dancing, not any of the ballet stuff or what have you. And then she also worked as an actress at MGM for a while. And she only worked for 8 years. And then she married an actor by the name of Glenn Ford. And she quit show business. She said, I'm going to stay home, be a mom, be a cook, be a wife to my husband. And that's what she did.
It's hard to imagine someone successful in show business actually quitting.
Well, I'm watching this, and I'm saying, this is part of her 8 years. She was so good. It was just a shame she ever quit. But probably there was something in her that said, show business is nice, and I've had fun, but who needs it?
No, some people don't really like it that much. So I could understand that.
Well, you had a guy like Jimmy Cagney. Jimmy Cagney said, I'm going to work until I'm 65, and then I'm going to retire. That's exactly what he did. He worked till his 65th birthday, never did another movie. Did his last film, which was 1, 2, 3. A film by Wilder. I'm trying to remember the guy's first name, who did The Apartment and things like that. Did this film called 1, 2, 3 with Jimmy Stewart. He's amazing in it. He's wonderful in it. He plays the president of the Coca-Cola company in Germany, whose daughter falls in love with a communist from the other side of the wall or whatever. And then the father of the girl is coming to visit. And, of course, they're from Georgia. An idea of her with a communist would just be horrible and hurt Cagney's career. And this film just gets faster and faster and faster and faster. And by the end, it's going a mile a minute. And I think that's why it's called 1, 2, 3. And it was his last movie. That was it. Goodbye.
That was it.
I worked the film.
Interesting.
I worked the film with full energy, and now I'm gone. See you later. Time to retire. He looked upon it as a job. What do you do with a job? You retire at 65. So he retired. He did come back and do one more film. Do you know what that film was?
I'm going to guess Ragtime.
You're absolutely right. How did you know that?
1981.
Wow. He came back and did Ragtime, and the reason he did it, broke his rule of 65, I think he was like 81 at the time or something like that. The reason he came back was he was not well, and his doctor said, for the sake of your health, go back and do another movie.
Really?
Because it's something that invigorates you, that gets you the juices in you going, and you should do it. So he went and did Ragtime. And that was his last film. Didn't
which
do
I
any
never saw, and I don't know if it was any good.
It was okay. It was an okay film. It wasn't bad, you know. I'm drinking coffee here to keep me awake. Not that you bore me or anything like that.
I put a lot of people to sleep. So.
Do you drink coffee?
No, I get my caffeine from Diet Coke Zero.
Coke Zero? Does it have caffeine? I guess it does, huh?
It does. I don't know how much, but someone said it not as much as coffee, but it is quite a bit. But I don't know what it is.
How wonderful is Coke Zero? I mean,
it's so much better than Diet Coke.
It tastes but forget Diet Coke. It tastes just like regular Coke.
Very close, yeah.
They came very close to getting that down. So, you know. But anyway, so any other little pieces of information you want off of me about movies?
Well, people that stayed too long, who stayed too short. I remember there was a woman named I think it was it Carrie Snodgrass?
Yeah, that was her name.
She got nominated for an Oscar her first film, and then didn't do another film for years. Maybe it freaked her out.
I don't understand. There's some people who just, I guess, they just don't like being in movies. I mean, if you and I can't imagine that because, we would die to do a movie or something like that. But there are people that just go, this isn't for me. A lot of people.
Well, I think there's some people that might get freaked out of being famous too.
Well, that's true. But sometimes, making movies, people think of making movies as being just, it's got to be exciting, But you're in your trailer most of the time. And they just drag you out when they need you to do the scene, and you do the scene, and then it's back to the trailer.
You're there
again.
12 or 16 hours a day.
Yeah.
Very
and this
boring, actually.
And many times this goes on for like 6 months. Okay? And you see a 2-hour movie, it took 6 months to make. How much of that time was spent in the trailer?
Yeah,
and
most of it.
So people go, this is pretty exhausting. I don't need this. I made enough money already. Goodbye. I'll see you later. Don't need to do any more. You know what I wonder? Here's one for you. These people who have like a whole bunch of hits, one right after the other. Boom, boom, boom. Huey Lewis, good example. Okay? One hit after another. And then all of a sudden, no more hits. Now, why does that happen? I mean, you would think that if you knew how to make a hit, and then you knew how to make another hit, and then you made like 10 hits in a row, you could at least make an 11th.
Yeah, well, he had a very good run, but it wasn't very long.
But it was one major hit after another, Another guy we know, Greg Kihn, who just died recently. Greg had one hit after another. Boom, 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 boom. And then all of a sudden, nothing.
Nothing, and then I think he got into radio.
Yeah, and I don't think I ever got a chance in talking with him and knowing him to ask him the question, why didn't you have another hit? What happened? Sometimes it's something as simple as they changed managers and the guy didn't know how to handle the guy.
Right, yeah.
But yet, on the other hand, you have people like Elton John, one hit after another for most of his life.
Yeah, 30, 40 years, Christ.
Then you got a guy like Billy Joel. There's a good example. You know when he wrote and produced his last big hit? I think it was like 20 years ago. Then he didn't write anything. And I saw an interview with him, and he said, I got tired of writing.
Really?
The process of writing, I didn't enjoy it.
Well, that's the great thing about music, though, because you got a few hit songs, you can ride those. People want to hear them over and over.
Well, also they get used in commercials, and you have a couple of hits that it can pretty well keep you in the money for years. It can pay the bills.
The best example of that is what's his name? Leonard Greenbaum, Spirit in the Sky.
Yeah.
Which was one song he wrote in 1970, which still gets used in movies and ads today.
Yeah.
That's 50 years.
But I wonder how much money that makes him. You know, I can you pay the bills? You know, that's a good question. But hey, I'm looking. We're running out of time here, Mister.
Yeah, because we're
Bubbles.
one-hit wonders.
Because we're one-hit wonders. See how many new ideas I had in this interview? Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
It's Larry Bubbles Brown, ladies and gentlemen.
Now in its 10th year, this is GabNet. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Yeah, thank you very much, Larry. Good having Larry Bubbles Brown here, and we'll do Larry again next week. We are up to almost. We're going to hit 250 episodes with Larry in just about I don't know, 2-3 months, something like that. I looked it up, and we're at something like that was number one. That was number 243 or something. 244 will be next week, so that gives us about 6 more weeks. Or no, 3 more weeks, and we'll be up to our 250th episode with Larry. I think that's the longest time anybody's been with us, so, you know, that's cool. Anyway, let's bring on our citizen panel here. They're ready to go here. And there's Jeff Stein and Charlie Wallace and Josh Wheeler. There we go. They're all trying to figure out whether they're hooked up right and so on. Hello, Josh.
Hello.
Yeah, and here comes Alan. Here comes Alan. Alan's going to join us now. Science, what does it say?
The great thing about science is that it's true no matter whether you believe in it or not.
Yeah.
That's from Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Well, it is. That's true. I agree with that. Okay. Okay. Hello to Josh. How you doing, Josh?
Doing good.
Yeah, we get Josh on every other Friday because every other Friday he's working. So here he is, and of course there's Jeff, and there's Alan. Hello, Alan. How are you?
Good.
Didn't have
Good
to go. Didn't have to go feed your mother tonight.
Tomorrow night.
Oh, tomorrow night. Oh, okay.
Well, usually it's on Fridays, but this week it's tomorrow.
Yeah, that's very nice.
My sister alternates. The sister and I alternate.
You're a good son.
Yeah.
Well, you seem thrilled by that.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
must be fun.
No, I was a lousy son. I was a terrible son. Yeah, but only to my mother. My father, I adored. You know, so I was a
Now, Jeff thinking, was he good to his mother or not?
Who? Was Jeff good to his mother or not?
Yeah, my mother was pretty good.
Okay, you're pretty good. She's not still alive, obviously.
Yeah.
No, if she was, she'd be very old.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because you know why? Because you're very old.
That's true.
So I
I know
went
my
to... What?
Excuse me. My mother's 90, going on 91.
Really?
In a couple weeks.
Yeah?
Yes.
She in good health?
Pretty good health.
Yeah, I mean,
My sister and I joke that she's going to outlive us.
probably.
Could be.
Probably.
Right.
You know. I went to PT today, physical therapy.
Oh, how'd that work out?
Good.
Well, I mean, it was like the first, it was a kind of get to know you thing. And of course, you know what I always, often said I hated about physical therapy is not what you have to do when you're there, but what you have to do when you go home.
Homer.
You know, I'm not used to working out at home, okay? You know, so now I have a few things I have to do, and I'm trying to figure out how to do them, and I haven't figured it out yet. So, you know, she gave me these things to do, and I'm going to do them. And the next time I see her is maybe in about a week and a half. And then we start having our regular weekly get-togethers. And I only have to see her once a week, so it's no big deal. Yeah. But she
Do you
made me
have a
feel
little-
bad. What?
Do you have a little bicycle that you can exercise?
I have one about this big. Really,
Oh,
really little bicycle.
it's a bike with one wheel.
With one wheel. Oh, you mean you're talking about Marjorie bought one of those, what do they call them?
Pelotons.
Pelotons.
Yeah.
And after about 3 months, she sold it. You know, she just found she was getting tired of using it. She didn't like it that much.
Is the thing with the little wheels that you put in front of the and pedals in front of the couch or under your
Yeah.
desk? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
No,
Yeah, I have
no,
one.
we're talking about Pelotons.
No, we're talking. Jeff's talking about the
Yeah.
little thing that has one wheel and stuff, and it's about this big. Fits under your desk.
Yeah, but that isn't the kind of
No,
exercises
no,
I
I
have
don't.
to do. I actually, they're so modern with their exercising now, they won't let you cheat. You know, usually you get PT, they say, go home, do this, do that, do this once a day, do this once a day, do this once a day, and then you never do it, right?
Of course not.
But they have now, at this place, you go online and you have to fill out a thing saying what activities you did.
Yeah.
So now I have to outwardly lie when I haven't done something, you know. But the thing that made me feel good is she gave me a lot of little exercises and things like that, and looked at my walk and so on and so forth, and said, "You're not in bad shape." She said, "Really, you don't even need the cane." She said, "But I'm not going to tell you not to use it if it makes you feel more comfortable, you know." But you don't need it, and by the time we're through, you will not want to use it. Okay, so hopefully we're okay. You know, we'll see what happens. So that's my excitement for the day. I went to PT.
I don't know if I agree with her. You know, you get to a certain place or age in life or something where that cane is a security thing for you. You may not need it, but you might probably take it anyhow because in your mind, if you don't have it, you might fall.
Yeah. Well, that's really why I have it. But the problem is that when you have it, you have a tendency to then use it. Okay? Yeah. So now you're relying on it just to make your walking easier all the way around rather than exercising yourself. You know?
Okay.
So, I mean, you could take it either way. But she said, I don't feel, she said, looking at you and the way you walk and all that you really need the what do you call it? The cane. So, but I'm going to keep using it anyway, you know. And I'm going to lie about the working out thing. So, you know.
Everybody does, I'm sure.
Well, I did all my exercises for today, so I figure I don't need to do them for another week, I don't think, do I? Yeah. No, there are 4 different exercises, and we do them once a day. So, oh, no, 3 reps a day. So. Well, 10 things of it, and then 3 of them a day. So, anyway, that's me. That's my workout. Isn't everybody excited with this?
Oh, yeah.
I knew that you would be. That's why I brought it up.
I'm glad you're doing it.
Anyway, so how's it going, Josh? You've been working.
Yeah, a little bit. Yep. How you been doing?
We've been doing okay. Have you been following the news?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's been a little slower the last few days. You know, post everything, but been watching a little bit. Yeah.
Did you see the speech? I mean, the interview, rather.
You know what? I did not see that yet because I did work last night. I read about it a little bit. There was a few articles I saw in the newspapers, and I read one in there's this newspaper called The Hill, which used to be a publicized newspaper in D.C.
Yeah.
Like an inside the Capitol thing, but you know, their internet now and everything. I check its website. They had a little article about it and stuff. I mean, I heard it was, or kind of read, look, you know, that it was nothing
she didn't say anything bad or anything. Nothing didn't hurt anything, and probably didn't help anything. It was just an interview.
Yeah, I felt it was a terrible interview. I felt the interviewer was horrible.
Really?
Yeah, I felt she didn't. A good interviewer, if a politician are not going to choose to answer every question you throw at them. And when they want to avoid one, they simply go off on a tangent.
Yeah, right.
And Waltz did that in this interview, where she asked him about the drunk driving charge he had against him 30 years ago that people seem to be bringing up.
Yeah, he shouldn't really worry about that.
And he didn't say, he just completely went off. It was like she asked him that question, and he answered this question over here.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's typical. What about your drunk driving? And, they tend to say 5 words about it, like, yeah, that was a long time ago, and unfortunately, I regret it. But since that day, I haven't stopped fighting for Americans who need health care.
He didn't even do that. He didn't even do that.
Yeah,
he went off on a complete tangent.
Yeah.
And that disappointed me on his part, but more than that, it disappointed me on the interviewer's part, because she should have just rolled right back to it and said, but I asked you this question, now are you going to answer it?
Yeah, well, they let Trump do that. Trump has been basically just saying whatever he wants for, a decade, so.
And people don't follow up any questions on him.
Nah, I mean, he pretty much just says whatever he wants. I mean, they've tried to push back over the years, but he just keeps talking. It doesn't matter. That'll never stop until they just stop interviewing him, I mean, but no one's going to do that. So, but I mean, what you're describing is fairly typical anyway. I mean, it's not like Trump invented it or anything. He took it to a whole other level, but it's not as if that stuff didn't exist for quite well.
Well, no, but that's the way they are. That's why when I was doing, I was doing radio, and I had the opportunity to interview politicians. Most of the time, I never did, because I found that most of the time I was never going to be able to get a straight answer out of them. So why waste my time?
Well, that's why I really haven't been upset or obsessed like some people have about why hasn't she done a sit-down interview. I mean, because. I mean, what are you going to get from it that you don't already? I mean, do you really need that to make up your mind?
My question was, why should she do a sit-down interview?
Well, I would agree with that, but yeah.
Why? Why? If it's going to turn out to be like this, where this dippy person that was interviewing her, Dana Bash, I think it was, didn't follow up on that question, what do we need the interview for?
Yeah, that's why, I didn't think that it was, I don't think it's a big deal. I mean, if someone really needs that to make up their mind, I guess so be it, because, each citizen can have their own criteria and their own mind for how they want to decide who they vote for. That's fine. Certainly wouldn't deny that, but I agree. I don't see what any sit-down interview really teaches you about, anything the candidate, she sits down to do a 60 Minutes interview, and all of a sudden, she's great. Wow, she'll make a great president. Why? Because she could do an interview for 30 minutes. I mean,
Well, what's even worse, and what's even worse, and it's coming up, is a debate. I mean, what does a debate prove?
Well, we've gotten to the point where they don't do much. I mean, I think they used to be much better. They've certainly evolved.
But what does it prove? In other words, you're getting somebody to be president of the United States. His skill set should be things like diplomacy, Trump diplomacy, my ass, but diplomacy and economics and knowing how things work and so on and so forth. But a debate, none of that comes out in a debate. It's just two people yelling and screaming at each other.
Well, they've certainly gotten that way. Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. All I wanted to say is I like that she wants an open mic policy, unlike what Biden wanted, and Trump made us think about it. But now he's decided he's going to go ahead and do it.
No, he's not doing it. They're doing it with a closed mic.
Oh, that's too bad, because she wants to push him to the point where he starts screaming and yelling.
Well, I mean, he can still start screaming
that
and
never
yelling.
looks good in court, and then he gets used to that. And we're used to him screaming and yelling.
Well, what happened was when they made the rules for the thing, he wanted an open mic, okay, and Biden didn't.
Right.
Okay, so Biden got his way for both debates. So the rules were set up for this debate. She simply wanted to change them and leave the mics open, but they said, no, that's not. What Trump says, no, that wasn't what was agreed on. Because quite frankly,
but I think she wants the mic open because she knows she can push him.
Mm-hmm.
She can remain calm.
oh yeah, no, there's no doubt about that.
Yep.
And
Much smarter than he thinks.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen if, for instance, in the middle of the debate, he says something, they come back to her, and then she looks at him and asks him a question. Are they going to open his mic?
I don't know how they're going to do it.
I don't know.
That's why I go, look, really, they should come out in leotards and wrestle. That's all I think. That's what I would pay. I would sign up to see.
It's like the sit-down interview, the debate. It's really just a handful of different ways that we've developed to give people different options to evaluate who they want to vote for. Some people like to see this, some people like to see that, and all that's fair enough. But they've evolved into some nonsense, which, is the way that it is. But I think, the data looks like that there are very few people who don't really know who to vote for, like at this point. Like everyone is pretty decided. Trump isn't really going to lose any more people. Harris can pick up some of the undecideds and things like that. So, it all really looks like she will have an overall lead in the popular vote. She will poll slightly better somewhere in like the 52-48 thing, but it will just come down to how well Democrats turn out their people on election day and vote, especially in the key states. It looks like he will lose the popular vote for the third time in a row, and all these things, and she will be slightly more popular in the country, than he is. Not a ton, but 2-3 percentage points. So it just looks like it's all about, can they get places, like Wisconsin and Michigan, can they get the black vote, et cetera, out in the heavy areas like Madison and Detroit? And can they run up margins in those areas that outdo the rural areas where he will get, 72-73% of the vote,
Yeah.
it just, so it looks like to me, like that's it. And really nothing is going to change between now and election day, no matter what. Interviews, speeches, rallies, debates, doesn't matter. Literally short of some bombshell event unheard of, in our history, nothing is going to change, and it will just, and we're just status quo, sitting around waiting for the polls to open, right? To me, that's what it looks like. If people disagree, I'll hear it. I don't know all about it, but that's just what I read on it. We're just waiting.
Yeah, exactly. So,
sitting around waiting for the polls to open. And if Democrats do not turn out, they're going to get stuck with this ass clown again. And it's,
I think
you've got to give up a few hours of your life.
I think she's created a certain excitement over voting for her. Whereas I don't know if Democrats would have necessarily turned out for Biden.
Yeah, I'm hard to disagree with that. I certainly, I think he would have had a good showing, but the problem is a good showing isn't going to do it, right? We need what Democrats have gotten the last few times they won a major election and got momentum with them, which was a 2008 turnout type deal. And Biden was able to get a lot of people to vote for him in 2020 who were sick of Trump.
Yeah.
It was a good turnout.
Well,
He outdid a lot of what Hillary had done 4 years before that, and that was the difference.
well,
You know,
most of the polls this time were him up against Biden,
Yeah.
and people weren't that sure about Biden. Now with Kamala Harris, there seems to be an excitement about her, you know, which I think is going to carry over into the vote. You know,
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. But it just has to be strong turnout because I'm because of, as we've seen in these rural areas, Trump has a dedicated following, and I mean, to me, these people are going to go vote.
but how can these? How they?
This is their life to them.
It is so. America is such a disappointing place to live in right now. If this guy, this ass clown, as you called him, can even get even the dumbest person in America, get Beavis and Butthead to vote for him.
Yeah,
You know.
I agree.
I mean, okay, I understand you're a religious person. You're a Republican and you're a religious person. Is this a religious person? You know, is this somebody who has the morals of a decent human being? No.
Right. I mean, we'll see. We'll let everyone else see what they think, and Kevin and them. But that's what I'm saying is, like where I live. I mean, I almost should do it so that you could put it up on the web or whatever. I should just drive through my housing development with my camera on the dash and send it to you so that you can see that every house in this development has a sign or a flag for him. A good number of them have 2 or 3 or 4 signs and flags.
Well, maybe
the latest and greatest flags.
Maybe I can sit here and say I don't see how those people could stand to vote for this morally corrupt human being. However, I'm beginning to say, why is it you live in that neighborhood?
Well, I have no, this is where I live. But, I'm sure if, when Kevin goes into the outskirts, even in a state like California, and you get into those rural areas, that is what you probably see. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I said before, after the 2020 election, in 2021, we were in Western PA, driving around in the middle of nowhere, Western PA, out where the Flight 93 crashed on September 11th, and all these little towns like Somerset and all that. And you're driving around on these 2-lane roads, and it's been a year since he lost the election, and they still have the signs in the yard.
Yep.
They still have. I mean, it's. So that's what I'm saying. Those people are going to go vote. They are going to get up that morning at 5 o'clock, and they're going to be standing in line when the polls open, and they're going to vote. So if Democrats of whatever race or whatever don't match that, they're going to lose. But overall in the country, she is more popular. And I think that people are worn out with him. The problem is his people are dedicated and they will go vote. So they have to turn out the other crowd, I mean, I think that's what Kevin says he sees out there where he lives.
Yep. See it all over. And I was doing some traveling the last couple of weeks and I've seen it all over. It's out there. And we brought COVID back from Canada, so I was laid up for the last week, and I got to watch a lot of.
What
I sat around and watched.
You got COVID.
I watched a lot of I tortured myself with some Live Now, Fox Live Now, which carries every fucking Trump rally, or as he referred to them today as shows. He called them shows.
Did he call them? No, that's an honest appraisal of his.
It is an honest appraisal of it. It's a show. He goes, all my first time Joes up in the front row here. They're all here for the shows, and he said it by accident, obviously. And I'm going, oh, there you go. You're on the money now, you dumb shit. And those people sat there, and I watched this, because I had nothing else to do. I was just sitting here. And I watched it for over an hour, and I watched it over almost 2 hours. And he went over the same stuff over and over again.
Did he say anything? Did he have any policy there?
Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. She does this. Everything that he could think of bad to say about her, She doesn't care about people. She doesn't care about this. She's going to bring MS-13 back over the border. Millions of people are coming. And he would go through that segment of stuff, say a couple things, and then go back over it again. And if there was ever a definition of gaslighting, that's what it is. And then he got to a point where they were probably telling him, okay, we're done. It's time to go. He'd go, oh, we're having a great day. It's only 100 degrees in here, I think. We don't really need to go on. We don't need to leave. We got a lot of time. We'll just take a couple more hours, right? And he's looking at everybody, turns around to the people behind him that are sitting there getting paid probably to sit there. And they're saying, we should stay another hour. And he'd go through the same crap again for another 45 minutes. And it's just, and these people just sit there like this. And they're sucking it all in. It's all just, they're all sponges.
But you know what I noticed.
And then they leave.
Yeah.
And this is what Josh is saying. They're leaving and they're going out to their other 800,000 people that couldn't get in and telling them, this is what he said. This is great. This is great. And, but I'm telling you, it's a very close race right now.
I don't know
just because of that.
I don't know about those 8,000 people waiting outside.
No, I said 800,000. You got to remember, it's 800,000.
No, 800,000. Because as I've looked at those current Trump rallies, there are a lot of empty seats.
Well, yeah, they kept them close, right? And then at the end, after the rally, they said, oh, there was a little incident about some guy that jumped over the press railings and stuff and they panned back and they said, well, we usually keep right on the podium and stuff, but here's a shot from back behind. And it was so much space in there. The seats were full, not all of them, but you could see empty seats. And, there was a lot of space in there. And the venue wasn't that big, and he made it sound like there was 80,000 people in there. And if I saw 15, maybe 20, it was a little hockey arena.
On the whole, she's drawing many more people to her rallies than he is to his.
Yes,
and
course
in larger
he's just blowing
venues.
it all out of proportion, which is his way. And I just sat there and I said, this guy is just gaslighting the shit out of these people, and these people are sitting there sucking it in. And then they'll go out and they'll buy all their flags and their vendors and their hats and all their shit. They even brought a couple of guys up from Puerto Rico there. And they said, oh, there's a couple of guys from Puerto Rico here. Oh, look, we're going to back Puerto Rico when we get. And I'm going, are you kidding me? What, are you going to throw more paper towels at them? Jesus Christ. You kidding me? And I watched a couple of those rallies during the week and I went, this is the same old show. It's not.
Well, you know what
rally.
I saw?
It hasn't changed in 10 years. I mean, it's
nothing. Nothing has changed.
I hope I don't get this version of COVID if it makes you watch that much Fox News.
Nothing else to do.
How bad was your COVID?
It was just like a cold.
Yeah.
All three of us got it. My wife started and then gave it to me and then gave it to my kid. My kid's just getting the tail end of it now.
Yeah, well, how about how they all doing? I mean, it's fine, right?
Yeah, we're all fine.
Yeah.
I'm done. By the time I got to my doctor, who called me 2 days later and said, I got some Paxlovid for you. I said, well, it's day 5. Never mind. I'll just keep it for next time.
He never called you?
Oh, asshole.
I would say that if you were a doctor and somebody called you and said, I have COVID.
And I'm a high-risk patient out of the three of us.
And you would go out of your way to to call him back immediately and say you need.
I called him twice, 3 times actually.
Oh boy!
You must have Kaiser.
Nope. This guy's usually really good, and it pissed me off, and I'm letting them know about it.
Yeah. Wow. Excuse me, I got to blow my nose.
Way,
got to blow.
I don't care. It was just fucking cold as far as I'm concerned. I just wanted to make sure I got it taken care of. So.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that it's.
But yeah, it was just amazing to see that, and it's no different than it was 4 years ago.
Right. I mean, but the thing is like I know he still has all these dedicated people and everything, but
exactly.
I mean, the good news and the challenge for him is that he has to grow that base because
right.
I mean, listen, he has lost the popular vote the last 2 times.
No, last 3 times. Last 2 times. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and he is not ahead in national polls. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's what I'm saying. He has to bring more people into his tent, right?
And you can tell that he is getting
Oh.
desperate now by bringing up the IVF situation, because he knows shit's going down, and he
Right.
has to bring up something to try and bring a few of these independents or whatever.
Well,
bring
also,
them,
but he's
bring
not
them
saying how he's going to pay for it,
No.
or how you're going to pay for it, or how
No,
you're
he
going
said
to.
the government's going to pay for it. Well, that ain't going to be.
But
It's easy to say no afterwards.
Or we're going to
His own
make your.
party isn't going to vote for that.
No, that's the thing. He might piss off more Republicans to,
I know that he's out there today making waves again because now he's back against the abortions. Because the ballot initiative that's in Florida, apparently, I haven't read much about it. He got asked if he was going to vote in Florida, because he lives there, how he would vote for it. And apparently he's either going to vote for or against it, whichever one makes it hard, more impossible to get an abortion in Florida. I don't know what the initiative says and all that, so I don't know. I didn't read the article yet, but I just heard that he's back taking an extreme which what is good news for us. Go ahead then, bro. I mean,
exactly. That's that's all I kept thinking is, what? This guy is looking more and more like Biden.
Well, but you do know that the Democrats want
out of his mind.
Want abortion after birth. You realize that, don't you?
Sure. Right.
In fact,
they kill babies.
I will go on record right now as saying I'm for retroactive abortion, and we should start with Trump.
78 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so, given that challenge that he has to grow it and all that, he's up against it and it's impossible. And all that is true. But again, the only thing that offsets that is if our people, whatever you want to call it, don't turn out.
Correct.
Then you give it to him.
And the Democrats are known for being lazy and saying,
so
we got this in the bag. They'll take care of it. Somebody else will take care of it.
This time, though, they have an excitement built in. Like, I wasn't going to go vote. And I'll tell you why. I've said it many times. I don't need to. New York is going to go for the Democratic.
That's the attitude.
Yeah.
Though.
Now, wait a minute.
That's the attitude.
Wait a minute. Okay. But I'm going to vote this year because I want to vote for her. Okay? She excites me.
Good.
She gives me the incentive to go out and vote for her. And I think
hopefully there's more people like that.
And I think a lot of those people who would have stayed at home if it was Biden are going to turn out. And if that's the case, they're going to win a lot of places they didn't expect to win.
Well, right. but they don't only have to have it. I mean, they need it.
Yes.
It's so crucial.
Yeah.
In places, in a place like Ohio, where she probably really isn't going to win, but those same people are going to click the ballot for Sherrod Brown and make sure that they don't flip this Senate seat. What if he wins Texas like we think he will, but somehow all these people turning out throw Ted Cruz out of the Senate?
There's a good chance of that.
That kind of shit's what's got to. That stuff would be a sea change, and it would make it obvious that we could put this shit in the rearview mirror finally. But we're, like I said, we're all just sitting around waiting. I'd assume we just get this shit done tomorrow. But that's
well, we're going
now.
We're going to Paris on the 7th of November, and Marjorie said, "Yeah, we're going there after to either celebrate the election or to not come back."
Well, I'm in a similar situation. I took that entire week off of work, and my wife and I are going to a hotel downtown election night to watch the results and everything. And I took the week off so that I was going to take a week off at some point anyway, so I took it there, and that way we can go vote, and I'll be available to watch the coverage all week or whatever, because we don't know if we'll know election night. The last few elections we haven't.
No, we haven't.
Yeah. I would like for this one to have numbers that would make that possible, and I think that would be the greatest possible thing that can happen to move our country forward.
Just slam dunk it.
To go that way. Not that if it doesn't, we still can't get back where we need to be, but it would just be, that would be a perfect scenario, is if at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, the news organizations are able to say, all right, it's done. We're ready to call pretty much all these states, and this will decide it. But I don't know if that'll happen, but I hope so. Like I said, I took some time off to be able to watch it and hopefully soak it in. But like you said, it's either going to be like damn near Euphoria or whatever the opposite of Euphoria.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh shit.
I mean, so it's. I mean, we need it, because yeah, I don't know what people are thinking. I mean, the guy who has never heard of all these people at the Heritage Foundation now in a few days is going to go make a speech at the Heritage Foundation, right? I mean, he talks in circles. I mean, don't let this stuff fool you that if you think these radical people that have attached themselves to him and hooked their claws into him aren't going to get a bunch of things they want if he gets reelected, you're wrong, because he's just not smart enough to realize he's being used.
Yeah.
For everyone that thinks he's so smart, he's not.
All you
He's
have
not
to all
using anyone. They're using him. They've been using him for damn near 10 years.
well, all you have to do.
He's a tool that's being tooled.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, but all you have to do is to say nice things to him about himself, and he's on your side.
Right.
This guy is a sociopath. He's the worst kind of sociopath.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that because I'm sure. I almost wish we had Phil here just so I could hear somebody say they love him.
I'll make a 3-way call with him every time we talk about him.
Like a 3-way call.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus, every time. God, aren't you glad Trump's doing so well? And he's going to show the world, show the country that Kamala doesn't deserve it. I'm like, I disagree with you, Phil. And he's like, I know you're going to vote for him again. I'm like, I only make a mistake like that once.
Yeah, because you voted for him when? In
2020.
2020. Yeah. Why didn't you vote for him in 2016?
16.
I don't know. Because I wanted to see a woman president.
Okay.
Hey, Alex, can we talk you into doing a special Tuesday night show on November 5th?
Well, yeah, sure, we could do that. Yeah, I mean, there's no reason to because it's not going to be settled by the time I go off the air here.
Probably not.
No, I think it'll take. If it's done that night, it'll probably be well into the night. I mean.
Yeah, but like when 2016, it was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
And we will have
Alex will do it, Charlie, as long as you're awake until it ends.
And we will have a show on the following night. I'm not going to Europe till the 7th. And I'm only gone for 5 days, something like that.
What I'm waiting for is the rioting after like in San Francisco and stuff. Either way, there's going to be riots.
Well, I hope not, but
I don't think it's going to riot in California. Why would it riot there? That's where all the Democrats.
They did when he got elected in 2016.
That's when he got elected. Yeah.
Right.
But it's just,
Well, I think the slogan should be, come for the election, stay for the riots.
It's just, I mean, according to Trump, he should win California. They just don't count the votes right.
Oh, he says he already won California.
Right. It's because he's very popular in California. I mean, if Jesus counted the votes,
the only reason he's
right.
going to lose California is because of all those immigrants swarming over the.
Right. That's right. That's what I'm saying. He says the most ridiculous. If a candidate wants to say, I should win or what, I mean, I get some of that, but he gets over the top with it with, these overtones of, violence and, I should win. And if I don't, obviously, we need to, that's a problem and we need to take care of that. And, like, what the fuck does any of that even mean? It's just, I'm sick and tired of it. And I just wish other people would wake up and be sick and tired of it.
Yeah.
That's why I watch him.
Find someone else.
That's why I watch him, just to make sure these people that are watching him, I know what their heads are at.
Yeah.
And you know, it tortures me to watch him, but I got to sit there and do it. You got to have a good. You can study the guy and just look at him and go, "This is a psychological experiment." To be honest with you, it really is.
And I mean,
the guy is out of his freaking mind.
I mean, I normally can put up with whatever, but I'm just being honest. I have a pretty hard time listening to him talk for
I know.
more than like.
It's not like I sit there. I'll get up and walk around and listen to him, but
yeah. I mean, I have to take it in small little pieces,
But it's interesting to watch a person act like that. To me, it's interesting to see a person actually stand in front of people and act like that over and over and over and over again.
Right.
It's just amazing that people actually follow it.
By the way, this is according to Drudge, or at least is on Drudge's site. Kamala Harris has surged ahead of Donald Trump 48% to 43% in the USA Today Suffolk University poll.
Yep.
Well, his new name for Walls is Tampon Tim today.
Okay.
Well, that's
Tampon Tim.
Great.
They're having trouble finding stuff on him.
No, I know women will really latch onto that and be.
Oh, you betcha. And there was some women behind him that were just sitting there going, "Huh?"
Well, he could come up with a name for Kamala, but it won't be very good. It rhymes with Trump.
If you give women free tampons, are you thinking that's not going to make them vote for you? I don't.
That's exactly what I was saying.
That's like if you gave men free beer. Oh, I never vote for that guy. Gave me free beer.
That's right. Goddamn nuts. Yeah, it just blew me away, and I'm going, you got 80 women sitting behind you, and you're calling them Tampon Tim?
Yeah, I mean, that's some of the stuff that his campaign's evolved into since Harris he's just so erratic that he's
just all over the place.
Like, don't you know that those things are actually pretty popular with people?
Yeah.
You know? I mean,
well, he did a really good job at Arlington. That really.
I was just going to say the spin they're putting on that now.
That stuff makes me sick.
No, they're trying to put spin on it, but nobody's buying it. Nobody's.
Oh, he went through a whole diatribe on that one today, too.
Yep, he sure did.
I mean,
about how
the family of the soldier asked him to get the picture, and
doesn't matter. It's against the law. Section 60 is against federal law. Period.
Yeah. I mean, and I've been there before, and
yeah, I've been there too.
Clear about it, that personal use, but this is, if you're a reporter, a blogger, or whatever, I mean, if
you don't do that shit.
If this is your grandfather and you're going to take a picture of the grave and you're going to take it home and you're going to hang it on your wall, that's fine. Yep. It's not for publication.
He stood there and talked about, the beautiful marble and the beautiful name carved in the beautiful marble on a beautiful day, and the lady was crying, and I stood there and got a picture, and it's like a whole diatribe.
How about this in front of the tombstones?
Right.
Yeah, thumbs up.
Yeah, I don't.
Well, we know he's not pro-military, so
I don't understand it.
And part of that ruling, by the way, is that yes, you can use a photograph for your own personal use at home because you want a picture of the tombstone of your loved one or whatever, and that's fine. That's okay. But you can't use it for anything else, and yet he's posting that whole thing on TikTok.
Yeah.
And then he's blaming it on other people who work for him. Oh, is that how you're going to run the presidency? You're not going to be the boss? Is that how you ran Trump Industries or
That's
whatever?
how he always did. He did. He did run it that way.
Turn around and blame other people for something.
Look what he did with Cohen. He blamed Cohen for everything.
Yeah. Yep. And Cohen was an idiot enough at the time to put up with it.
Right. He was the fixer, and he was the shit taker.
Yeah. Lots of money, Cohen was.
That's why I call him a typical boss.
Yeah, I mean, the disrespect at the cemetery, I mean, no matter which way you cut it, technicality, if you believe that or whatever, it's still very disrespectful, in my opinion. Every time I've ever visited those places, and I've been to many, I don't do the pictures and the whole thing. I mean, I'm not saying maybe my wife and I didn't snap a picture of the overall whatever,
right.
But I mean, I don't pose for selfies in front of, I just don't. I mean, and then maybe that's me, and people don't care. But I mean, I've visited places like that many times and knew the story and, knew what happened and knew how those
Yeah,
men,
but
those
you're
men and
not running
women
for office.
got into the ground,
You're
and
not running for office.
I
They're
just
putting
can't,
in
I
that
can't
work.
believe that we've reached a point where that kind of stuff happens and people defend it. I mean, I just
Right.
can't imagine if Obama had done that in 2008.
Oh,
I mean, I
If
just
Kamala
can't.
did it tomorrow, they'd be on her ass for that.
oh,
I agree, yeah, but I mean, I just,
I would rather see Kamala in front of Trump's grave going like this.
Yeah, but I mean,
Anybody.
just the thumb up was what I saw, and I went, "What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw
What?"
that.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's not,
sick.
it's not a good look to me, but it just he doesn't get it. I don't know, he just doesn't get it. I mean, I just was I was
Any
watching this thing the other day, 3 or 4 days ago, for example, about from President Obama's foundation that's building a library, and it was this interview with him and Admiral McRaven, and they were talking about the night that they killed Osama bin Laden and everything. And then McRaven is the one who started talking, and he said that a few days after that, they took a bunch of people that had to do with the raid and a bunch of people from the units and all that. I think to Fort Campbell or somewhere. And Obama flew in and he went into a back room and he met with the team that did the raid privately because they didn't want anyone to know who those guys were. But then he came out and he gave a speech and everything. And he said, afterward, when there were no cameras around, or which he's like, which trust me, Obama's staff was not liking and all that. There were no cameras around. He's like, this entire hangar full of people. President Obama stayed for hours and shook everyone's hand, and he spoke to everyone that had anything to do with the raid, and none of this was in the press.
No.
He's
Nope.
like, this was the kind of president that he was. I mean, Trump would have had that made into a documentary about Trump.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. He's like, this wasn't used in an ad. This wasn't on CNN. When all the cameras were done and the speech was over and the C-SPAN turned their cameras off and the whole thing, he shared a private moment and shook the hands of a couple hundred people, that ran the Joint Special Operations Command and all that, and he's like, this was, and by the time he got done saying it, I mean, this is Admiral McRaven. He used to run JSOC and everything. He's crying. He's like, I had never seen anything like it. He's like, it was just, he was just very touched by it. I mean, he was just like, I had just never seen anyone that had that job take that much time to tell each and every person thank you, and how proud they should all be, the whole bit, I mean, but it was real. It was.
By the way, I read something where
Trump
Trump was railing against Obama again.
Yeah,
Doesn't he realize this guy hasn't been president for how many years now?
he's a little jelly, you know what I'm saying? Because Obama pretty popular and all that, so he got the little bit of jealousness going on.
Yeah, I mean, Obama made his little thing on stage there.
Oh yeah, that was thing.
That pissed Trump off.
Yeah, well, you know what they're talking about. Let's see, is this Bree? I guess it is. I don't know. It's a little late for Bree, but let me just put
Is
my
it time for Don Giller?
let me put my camera on just for a second, so that in case it's somebody else trying to get on here. Let's see here. Is he there? There's Bree. Okay, all righty. Okay, we can go back to that. Hi, Bree. How you doing?
Hello.
Yeah.
I'm good. I just passed through security, so wanted to get in here earlier, but
You
anyway, I
passed. You
managed to get
passed what?
Pass through security to get on the Gabnet?
no, at the airport.
Oh, you're at the
Yeah,
airport. I see. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you're on the sterile side. Okay.
Yeah. So, and you're going down to you're going to Vietnam, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Good.
We
And how
can take a
long?
look at the flights are here.
Yeah.
How long are you going to be down there? Oh, hello. Can you hear me, Bree?
And actually, my flight is not on.
Flight's not on there.
Yeah.
You're break. You kind of
One. Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry, I should move around so much.
you're kind of breaking
Go
up on
back to
us.
my seat here.
Yeah, yeah. You're a little, little stuttery there. But we kind of. It's not beyond belief that a airline isn't good at Wi-Fi. So
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well, I'm not on Wi-Fi. I'm on my 5G.
Oh, really?
So I don't know.
Oh. Even worse, I guess. Tony, haven't even said hello to you. How are you, Tony?
I was enjoying the show, so I figured I'd call in. I think Josh is right about the election. It's close. But, guys, I'm scared about the silent vote. I don't buy the polls. I really don't.
Which ones don't you buy?
I don't. Why do I have a feeling she's not in the lead?
Oh, I think she is. I think maybe if you're not going to believe the polls, it might be that they're underestimating.
I hope you're right. I really do.
You know.
I don't know. I don't have a good
know
feeling.
if the polls are right, and what difference does it make?
Hmm.
Because I remember, you know what it is? I still remember Hillary Clinton that when I was looking at the Times and the Daily News a couple of days before the election, they had her in a landslide. They had her, it was all wrapped up. And when I came home that night, I was working the polls, and the cop tells me, "What's going on?" I says, and I looked at the TV, he says, "He's winning." I says, "He's winning." Let me tell you something, guys. I think you could fuck with the polls.
I'll tell you what.
I think you could fuck with the polls.
No,
We've learned from that. They know not to just trust the national
no.
polls.
He's absolutely right. They admitted they had made a lot of mistakes in their polling because they were polling on a different level, and now they're watching out for this. They're making much more. They're being much
by over 3 million votes. The actual ballots.
See, they were going by the normal thing, which would say, okay, this person gets more votes than anybody else, therefore they must win. The fact was that what he won, they were right about that. They were absolutely spot on right. But she still didn't win because of the Electoral College. You know.
Yeah.
Misjudged a few states.
What?
They had misjudged and had some issues in a few states, that turned out to be very crucial.
Yeah, but I think they're being far more careful now. And,
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone for sure is definitely, hesitating to make any kind of assumptions.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like, let me look
They say that voter registration is up.
Yeah.
Is that true?
That's true in Texas.
Yes,
Believe
it is.
so.
Nate
That
Silver
generally favors Democrats.
Yep.
Nate Silver in the national polls has Harris at 49% and Trump at 45.7%. In
And there's a 4% plus or minus, right?
Arizona has them tied. In Georgia, they have them tied. Let's see here, Pennsylvania, they have she has 48.4, he has 46.5. So I mean,
It's all within the margin of error.
It's all within the margin of error at this point. But
that's why we gotta have a turnout.
Yeah. I listen to a lot of people, and they're just not talking about it.
What do you mean?
Well, you're in Connecticut. We can understand that.
I know, but
What do you mean? Like it's almost like, is it like a silent vote, Jeff? You think, where they don't want to say who they're voting for?
I think they're just keeping their mouth shut. They're not that interested.
That's another thing to look out for.
It just bothers me.
Yeah, because if they don't want to tell you who they're voting for, I would say that's a Trump vote.
No, not necessarily.
I'm just going to give you my opinion.
They may be.
I'm with you on that.
Well, they may live in a hole. They may live in a.
They don't want their husbands to know that they're going to vote. She's going to vote for Harris.
That, that's got to be Breeze.
Oh, sorry.
All of a sudden, it's working good.
Yeah. But I don't understand a word. It was all gobbledygook to me. So.
Mm.
I mean, I would agree with Jeff, though, that this isn't really. We talk about this on this show on Friday nights, but I don't hear a lot of conversation about it anywhere else. I hear people talking about other stuff, like at work and, just out, socially or whatever. I don't find, because I think most people just feel like, their mind's made up and,
That or they don't want to get in an argument, which is mostly
well,
the
I mean,
case.
certainly I think there's a lot of people, especially if they're going to vote for Harris, like in an area where I live.
Yep.
Like, I'm just going to go vote for Harris, but I really don't need to tell all these people about it because they'll just accuse
I don't want to deal with it.
communist or whatever, and I don't want to deal with listening. I mean, that's fair enough, right? I mean, I certainly
That
see
is
a lot.
true.
I mean, people
I
do.
think that's most of it.
People have come to avoid it, basically just for the sake of peace and quiet. Like why argue with people that you otherwise get along with? I mean,
You ever watch those?
Are you there?
The man in the street interviews that Jimmy Kimmel does or Jimmy Fallon, and they'll hold up a picture of Kamala Harris. They'll say, "Who's this?" I'm talking like 3 or 4 months ago, and they'll say, "Oh, that's Oprah Winfrey." You know what I mean? Like, like most people just don't know. They ask people. I swear to goodness, I saw this. Who is on the nickel? Who is on the dime? Who's on the quarter? And every president you get right, you get to keep the money. And people can't get past the dime.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Geography is even worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we do certainly have a relatively uninformed electorate. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, we can kind of get a group of people like this together, and it can maybe not seem that way, but you've got in a much larger group, like at your workplaces and stuff. Yeah, I think a lot of people probably experience the same thing that I do, which is some people really don't understand how government works at all.
Even when I'm in Thailand or the Philippines, like I know people in Thailand, and I'll meet them. They just have to know, like, how are they going to make money to eat that day, like, and for that week, and how is their parent going to get XYZ. They have no idea about their own government or who's running it or why. They barely know these things. It doesn't affect their lives, and if it doesn't affect their lives, they've got to eat, they've got to work, and that's what they want to do. And I think there's a lot of that everywhere.
Yeah. Well, look, that's a major consideration today, too. I mean, things are expensive. And while I could explain to people, you can't blame it on the administration because you've got to blame it on people who are taking advantage of the public and are really, what's the word we're looking for, opportunistic, and raising their prices and saying, oh, we got to charge this much for meat now, because it's just costing us that much more. And it isn't really, but they see a windfall for themselves.
I hear people still complaining about the price of gas. I just paid $2.68 a gallon here.
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
It's all Biden's fault.
It's all Biden's fault. Yeah, right.
$2.68. It was up $5-6 a gallon.
It's all his fault.
Well, it's still $4.50 a gallon here.
Yeah. Anyway,
Something that seems to be doing very well.
It was only $1.73 in Canada. Liter.
I'm playing the theme now.
Per liter.
I'm playing the theme, as you can probably hear it. Giller hasn't called yet, so I guess we're not going to get a call from him tonight.
About 30
minute
seconds.
Callers. Yes. Jeff, thank you so much for calling tonight. And thanks to Josh. Thanks to Charlie. Thanks to Alan. Thanks to, good to see you're back without the COVID now, Kevin. Thanks, Tony, for being here. And look who's there in very good picture, too, right now.
Yeah.
In Malaysia, getting ready to get onto a plane to go to Vietnam and join our services over there and fight the good war. No, wait a minute. Anyway, everybody, give yourself a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a big wave goodbye at you, okay? There they go, folks. That's our citizen panel for tonight. We'll get another one going here on Monday on Facebook when we do the pop-up show. So I hope you'll join us for that. In the meantime, stay tuned for Amy. She seems to be back again tonight. And we'll see you again next, next Wednesday at 10:30 Eastern Time. Same time, same station in life. In the meantime, as always, if you see her, you know what to do. Tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye, everybody.
This is a test.